Good morning and welcome. I'm Lynn Kendall. Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home, or you are seeking comfort and connection in uncertain times, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community seeking truth in love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us matters and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. Together, let us remember our oneness, our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many links of connection in the comments section, including credits for the readings, to virtual religious education, for donations, and to be added to our email newsletter list. A few announcements. The all-church Zoom meeting will be on Wednesdays at 5:30. We'll send a reminder email in the early afternoon on Wednesday with the link. We'll hold a virtual coffee and conversation after this service for 30 minutes on Zoom. You can find the link in the comments below or from the newsletter. This morning, we will have our first virtual coffee tables with the Immigrant Solidarity Team and Prison Ministry Team, each hosting 2 of the breakout rooms during the Zoom coffee hour. The next 8th Principal Town Hall meeting will be next Sunday, March 21st at 1:15 p.m. following coffee hour. And now, a message from Jim and Linda Clark about what they love about UCE.
Hi, we're Linda and Jim Clark.
Well, we moved to the city in 2005, and we decided we wanted to go to a Unitarian church. So we visited several, and they just didn't quite feel right. And so we decided to make a trip up to Evanston to visit UCE, even though we knew it was really far from our home and it would take us a while to get there and back. The Sunday that we went, we both turned to each other at the end of the service and we said, this is the place. So Jim, what is it that you noticed about that day that made you think that it was the day?
Well,
it was the place.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot. I think the thing that really struck me, and I think struck us, was the overall friendliness of the folks who greeted us.
Yeah.
I think that was outstanding.
Right.
So what about you?
Well, for me, it was intangible. It was just a feeling, and it's hard to put my finger on it. I've discovered things since then, of course, but on that day, it was just an intangible feeling. So what is it that we've been there how many years now? I think we joined in 2007. So we've been there going on 14 years. So what is it, Jim, that you really love about UCE?
Oh goodness, there are so many things. Music is one thing that's really important. I think it's important to me, and I think it's important to both of us. And I think it's important to most other people. But gee, you can't beat the choir, the guest performers that we have coming in, Gregory's piano. It's just an unbelievable experience every Sunday that we go. The music just stands out above almost everything else.
Well, for me, the Sunday service, I agree about the music, but I think the sermon and the entire service just is such a nice respite in our lives, and I feel like it brings me back to, most of the services bring me back to what's really important in life.
I think we're very happy at UCE, and we're certainly very pleased that we made that trip up over the first day, and very happy that UCE has become our spiritual home.
Well, and I just want to add that another real important thing for me is the focus on social justice. The people are very, very genuine at UCE, and they're genuinely interested in not only doing things for the community, trying to be better Unitarians in the community, but also in the world. And I very much appreciate that. So we're really happy to be there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jim and Linda Clark, for that really wonderful message. We had a wonderful pledge drive wrap-up celebration last night.
But don't worry, it's not too late. You haven't missed your chance to pledge.
We want to thank Tom and Alicia Hempfling, Susan Carlton, Susan Comstock, and all those who helped pull last night's celebration together.
And thank you to Marianne Griebler for her creative and collaborative leadership on this pledge drive. We are so grateful for those of you who have pledged already and made this such a successful campaign.
So here's where we are. 205 people have pledged so far, bringing us to $500,000 toward our $553,000 goal. We are hoping for another 70 or so pledges, and we hope to surpass our very conservative goal. I have been truly astonished by your generosity. The number of you who were able to increase your pledge and even give more than what we asked for, as well as the overall response and participation, is so heartening and encouraging.
We are so grateful for every dollar pledged and know that every dollar pledged matters.
UCE is the spiritual home where we foster friendships, make music, learn, grow, celebrate, and mourn.
UCE is the place from which our work and love emanate out into the world. Our budget helps us build our beloved community together and empowers us to fulfill our mission for a world made whole.
Here's what your pledges will help us do together. Enable us to provide a fair and living wage for our staff and offer health care coverage for employees who are less than full-time.
Increase Reverend Susan Francis's hours, our congregational life director, so that she can dedicate more time to social justice and membership engagement.
To pay our fair share and support the important work of the UUA.
Enable us to have a greater impact in the community and empower us to live our values more fully. But if you haven't pledged yet, remember it's not too late. We want everyone to feel as though you can take part at whatever level is appropriate for you.
Look for the email with the subject line UCE 2021-2022 Pledge Drive and check in your junk or promotions folder. If for some reason you can't find it, please send an email to admin@ucevanston.org.
Thanks again for your generosity.
When we began the Pledge Drive campaign, it started with a service of festival splendor, a service so full of music, so tender. Oh, when we began the Pledge Drive campaign, I'm with you once more, sadly on Zoom, and in my ear, karaoke is playing. But here I am, a-swinging and swaying, 'cause we've completed the Pledge Drive campaign. And now we know our church will remain. Now we've completed the campaign. Now we've completed the campaign. Congregants, did we tell you how grateful we are to you as well? I'd like to say it again. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Vickie. Our opening reading today is Connections by Marge Piercy. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking at what is happening. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down trees. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make a life that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in. A thicket and a bramble, wilderness to the outside, but to us, it is interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs. This is how we are going to live for a long time, not always. For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. Welcome to worship. Place for yourself and your family as we join together in beloved community.
We light this chalice in northern Illinois on the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes including the Miami, Menominee, Ho-Chunk, Sac, and Fox, also call this area home. We name these in honor and respect. Please join in saying these words. Small flame, large meaning, the one that is all, the nurturing power of shared light and shared warmth, the ever-present hope that our tending and attention to the whole will sustain the many. Please join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Today's Tie for All Ages is Luna and Me by Jenny Sue Kostecki Shaw. The true story of a girl who lived in a tree to save a forest. Have you ever climbed a tree and stayed there all night? Once there was a girl who lived in a tree for over 2 years. Nearly 1,000 years ago, a redwood tree named Luna sprouted on a hillside. She grew up in a big family with strong roots. Julia was born some 13,000 full moons later. Her family was always moving. Upon arriving in each new town, she scurried off to explore the forests. She whispered her secrets to the animals, and soon the animals trusted Julia. Once a butterfly rested on her finger all day, which was how she got her nickname Butterfly. Luna, the redwood tree, held butterflies too, and wise spotted owls, friendly banana slugs, gentle turkey vultures, daring flying squirrels, shy foxes, and a menagerie of forest animals. Luna often reassured the animals, "If my arms seem full, it is not a chore. I will gladly grow more," and she always did. One day, Butterfly wandered into an ancient cathedral of redwoods. Her heart beat wildly. Thump-a-thump, thump-a-thump. "Hello?" A curious butterfly called up into Luna. "Is anyone home?" Broken branches stuck out of Luna's trunk like porcupine quills, and her side was tagged with a blue X. The redwood quivered with excitement the way she always did when a new visitor arrived. Luna thought, "Do you like to climb trees? Give me a trial, please." All aflutter, Butterfly called out, "Here I come." There's Butterfly at the bottom. When she reached a comfortable perch, Butterfly introduced herself. "I am Butterfly, and you, Luna, are a ladder to the moon." Luna smiled inside. "Welcome, little Butterfly. You are brave to have ventured up so high." Butterfly marveled at Luna's view of the world. She spied a river twisting this way and that past Luna's countless brothers and sisters and cousins. But then she looked closer. Butterfly realized what the blue X meant on Luna's trunk. The tree would soon be chopped down and harvested. Butterfly's spirit wilted. She knew that people needed wood for building houses and furniture, and for making paper and books too. But trees make the oxygen we breathe, she thought. Animals need trees for their homes, and without tree roots, mountainsides can wash away in heavy rains. Don't trees have a right to just be? Suddenly, an idea sprouted deep inside Butterfly. "If I stay with Luna, no one will cut her down." Luna thought, "Then I will live another 1,000 years." But Butterfly would need a lot of support. Her friends were eager to help. Heave-ho, up you go. They hoisted her food, water, a stove, fuel, and a tarp. She would need to tightly pack her waste in bags until her friends returned to haul it away. That night, she slept under a tapestry of starlight. The next morning, Butterfly awoke to voices far below. How can we help? You are strong. We believe in you. Do you need anything? More granola? You are not allowed to be here. Go home. This is our tree. She'll come down when it storms. I'll come down if you promise not to cut Luna down. Up top, Butterfly held on tight to what she believed in, Luna. But living 180 feet high in a tree wasn't easy. Her tree house was the size of a sandbox. She cooked all her food in one small pot. And there wasn't a bathroom. She had to get creative. She collected rainwater to drink and bathe in. At first, raindrops popped like popcorn on her tarp roof, lulling her to sleep. But soon, the refreshing rains grew into fierce storms. Hang tight, it may rain all day and all night. Oh no! Butterfly could barely hold on. Lightning struck all around and thunder shook her courage. I want to go home, she yelled. But the howling woods swept her voice away. Butterfly climbed inside her cocoon and drifted to sleep. In her dream, Luna spoke to her. I'm frightened, Luna. I will hold you till the sky is calm and blue. When she awoke, she discovered the sun, her friends, and her wings. Butterfly kicked off her shoes and spent the day turning her tree house into a home. To exercise, she climbed barefoot to the very top of Luna every morning. With sticky, sappy feet, she crawled like a spider up and down Luna's trunk. She explored each branch and met all her tree mates, and still there was more. Deep within Luna's split trunk, Butterfly discovered a magical cave. It was alive. She found ferns, huckleberry, furry green moss, tiny mushrooms, bugs, chickadees, hummingbirds, chipmunks, and even a fox. Luna, Butterfly chirped, you are a forest within a forest. Luna beamed even brighter. Butterfly knew what she had to do. Her friends gathered supplies she would need. Solar-powered phone, check. Hand-cranked solar radio, check. Books about ancient forests, check. Duct tape, check. Pens and paper for writing letters, check. Butterfly shared stories of Luna and the forest to anyone who would listen. And many people did. Busy days whirred and blurred into weeks and months and a whole year. And then another year. Butterfly worried. Will Luna ever be safe? But then, finally, on the 738th day, a message arrived. Butterfly, Luna is safe. No one will cut her down. Love your friends. P.S. You can come down now. As her toes touched the soft earth, Butterfly cried, "We did it, Luna!" But she didn't want to leave her friend. Butterfly hugged Luna goodbye and heard Luna's voice in her heart. As you grow strong and tall towards the sun, remember to bend with the wind. And when you dream and dance in the rain, I'll be here doing the same. And at the end of the book is the story from the author with a picture of her up in Luna. The end.
Thank you, Kathy, for that story of persistence and commitment. These are stories, these are the joys and sorrows that have been submitted through the Google form out on the homepage of our website. Alternatively, you can send an email to Reverend Eileen or Reverend Susan Francis. From Linda LaPlante, an article about early Chicago coronavirus deaths, including John LaPlante's story, appeared in Friday's Sun-Times on page 6 to 8. They represented us well, and I understand better now what the Columbia University project that produced this was all about. From Patricia Lenore, my 70-year-old sister, Monte Ruth Warnock, was hospitalized last night with a possible stroke. I'm waiting to find out how she is doing. Please include her in your prayers. Thank you. And from Jean Rhodes, after so many sorrows, it's wonderful to share a great joy. My granddaughter, Claire, was born on February 23rd. Everyone is doing well. Well, we know that these are not the only joys and sorrows that are in our hearts. Let's take a moment of quiet now to read to ourselves the joys and sorrows that have been added to the chat. We hold these together in care and tenderness. And I invite you to say aloud the names of those who you are holding in your heart, those who are sick or who have died, as we let their names gather on the winds to be held in this community that knows no walls. and lessen the burden of our grief. I invite you now to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation with these words by Martha Kirby Couple. As we join in this shared moment, let us renew both our commitment and our covenant. There are those among us who have endured a loss in this past week, in the recent past. May your hope be uplifted again in this community of faith. May you find renewed strength. There are those among us who have wrestled with questions that seem to have no answers this past week. May you find sanctuary in this community of faith. There are those among us who have cherished an unexpected joy in this past week. May your gladness be celebrated. As we commit to continue our free and responsible search for truth, may we covenant to honor the many paths that have led us to this community.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
UCE remains a vital part of the world and our community. And because we continue to need one another in the blessings of community, we take this time to invite you to give to our shared plate. Today's offering will be shared with the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for a moral revival. Please check out the link below for more information about the Poor People's Campaign. You can text to give, send in a check, or give from our website. If you send in a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering, pledge, capital campaign, or some other giving. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. This reading is Long Haul People by Rudy Nemser. You find them in churches when you're lucky, other places too, though I mostly know only the ecclesiastical varieties. Long haul people upon whose shoulders, and pocketbooks, and casserole, and daylight nighttime hours, a church is built and maintained after the brass is tarnished and the cushions need restitching. They pay their pledges full and on time, even when the music's modern. Support each canvas, though the sermons aren't always short. Mow lawns and come to suppers. Teach Sunday school when there's no one else and they'll miss the service. Ask what they think of the minister or plans for the kitchen renovation or the color of the bathroom paint. They'll reply, individuals and fashions arrive and pass. The church, their church, will be here, steady and hale. For a long, long time, it will. For long haul people bless the church with a very special blessing.
Dutchman's not the kind of man to keep his thumb jammed in the dam that holds his dreams in. That's a secret only Margaret knows. When Amsterdam is golden in the morning, Margaret brings him breakfast she believes in. Thinks the tulips bloom beneath the snow. He's mad as he can be, but Margaret only sees that sometimes. Sometimes she sees her unborn children in his eyes. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago I used to be a young man, and dear Margaret remembers that from me. The Dutchman still wears wooden shoes. His cap and coat are patched with love that Margaret sewed in. Sometimes he thinks he's still in Rotterdam. Watches tugboats down canals, calls out to them when he thinks he knows the captain. Till Margaret comes to take him home again, through unforgiving streets that trip him though she holds his arm. Sometimes he thinks that he's alone and he calls her name. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago, I used to be a young man, and dear Margaret remembers that for me. The windmills whirl the winter in. She winds his muffler tighter. They sit in the kitchen. Some tea with whiskey keeps away the dew. He sees her for a moment, calls her name. She makes the bed up, humming some old love song. Learned it when the tune was very new. He hums a line or two. They sing together in the night. The Dutchman falls asleep and Margaret blows the candle out. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago, I used to be a young man, and dear Margaret remembers that for me. Let us go to the banks of the ocean, where the walls rise above the Zuyder Zee. Long ago, I used to be a young man, and dear Margaret remembers that for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What a lovely reminder of one kind of for better and for worse. First of all, I want to join my voice with that of the others who offered congratulations for the combined efforts that will fund another promising year of nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole at UCE. The life force is asserting itself through the generosity of nature and all giving things. Last night, I joined a group of about 80 of you to celebrate this important aspect of UCE's shared ministry. The shared financial support for the building and the staff and the programs that make up the tangible body of this church. There you were on my screen, faces that have become so familiar to me over the past 18 months of meetings and worship and a smattering of celebrations and casual encounters. I invited my husband to join me at our dining room table to watch the wonderful entertainment provided by members and guest performers. And I found myself saying, see there in the third box from the right at the top, that's Margaret, who's on the transition team. And look, there's Susan, who shared her house with me. I did not add, though I certainly could have. These are the long haul people. On January 10th, 2021, in the waning days before this congregation voted to call Reverend Eileen as your settled minister, I spoke to you about the complexities of the relationship between minister and congregation that is ultimately a shared and common relationship to the mission to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. I framed this ultimate relationship in terms of love that lasts, and here I am quoting myself. It is the love that we share beyond the particular. It is the love we create together that is more than the sum of the parts. It is the flame that is kindled when we, ministers and congregants, join our individual flames to kindle a common chalice, fulfill a shared mission, access the well of diverse skills, acknowledge our own capacity for good, and use that combined power as a source that nurtures each human spirit and feeds the wholeness of the world. This is the love that lasts, and this is the basis for shared ministry. So for many of you on the screen last night, these words were an affirmation of what is now has all far and already embedded in your bones. But for those of you for whom, as implied in Marge Piercy's poem at the start of this service, connections are made slowly, I wonder if some of you may be experiencing this as a kind of bait and switch. Is that what joining a church is really about? I mean, what if I come to this church because I love the music and find the sermons to challenge me intellectually and even spiritually? But I don't need any more friends, really, and I never stay for coffee hour. The classes and the other opportunities on screen or in the order of service are of interest, but I have plenty of other ways to feed my interests. I put a $10 bill in the plate every week, which I see as the price of admission. Lately, I find so much talk about shared ministry to be unsettling. What if what I want is to just show up on Sunday for an hour? Do I belong here? Or the kids in our neighborhood all go to church. I bring my children here because I appreciate the real life lessons that are coming to them through the teachings of the UU principles. I don't need to worry about them being filled with dogma and the expectation that they will believe a particular creed. Sometimes I stay for the service, but as often as not, I go for a walk and get a break. I probably should give some money, but I'm not sure even who to talk to about that. Or maybe I came to Evanston to teach philosophy at Northwestern. I was looking for a community for my family. We came to UCE on the recommendation of a colleague. There is so much we like about being here, but we wonder what shared ministry here looks like for people with brown skin. I'm willing to bet that each of you came to UCE in person or on screen this week, last week, a year ago, a decade ago, because of a felt need or desire that motivated you to show up for the first time. This need could be loneliness or a desire to expose children to RE, interest in social justice, the reputation of UCE music or sermons, or an outlet for social justice sought. Do you remember? If you can, we might mark that as the beginning of a story. If you are here again, or again and again and again, it is because that need or desire found some promise for fulfillment. A friend found, an enthusiastic child, a heart opened, a mind expanded, a cause engaged. And in time, the story, whether long or short, old or recent, begins the next chapter with an experience of mutual service. This is the first step toward shared ministry. This happens when you begin to engage your self-interest in ways that minister to others. Your love of music draws you into the choir. Your children's enthusiasm for religious education piques your interest and you become a teacher or a helper in the church school. Your concern for the environment draws you to the green team. Your love of cooking is met when you provide meals with the caring committee. Formal membership may or may not be somewhere in this part of your story. But if you are around and paying attention, you have undoubtedly been extended an invitation to pledge. This is not just a request for financial support. It is an invitation into deeper connection. At best, I think, the invitation to become involved financially can be a turning point in any potentially committed relationship. The term engagement in relationship parlance implies, for many intents and purposes, a movement to a deeper level of commitment. We offer engagement rings and other gifts to secure the intention of a marriage. We make down payments on all sorts of large purchases to indicate that we are serious about following through. Excuse me just a minute. At best, the invitation, there are many reasons to pledge, and at best, the invitation to do so calls us into conversation about what we value and how we wish to invest and what we care about. It turns us into stakeholders. It anchors our hopes and our expectations. But unlike so many financial commitments, pledging to a church is an unenforced commitment to the future that is not attached to a particular outcome. It is an act of faith, and it can stimulate or be stimulated by other kinds of investment in the community. For many, it stimulates what I call institutional concern. Over time, people who remain engaged recognize the church has needs that must be met for it to keep functioning. At this point, members may choose to give back and become more a part of the organization. Often, they may first be invited by someone in the congregation to engage in this way. This is my community that needs my service. In time, it may lead to committee membership or project leadership or teaching or helping with worship and even elected leadership. Everyone who is listening today has a story about how you got here, what you came for, and why you stay. It is important to be reminded, I think, that long-haul people, so vital to the life of this church, did not wake up one morning and embark on a quest to find a church whose mission was to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole and to commit a boatload of time, talent, and treasure to make that happen. Whether you're here for the first time today or for the first or the 1,000th time, this is a storyline that you share. It is one that includes all of the needs and desires that you brought with you, even the first time, even the ones who are most amply met. And like any real storyline, there are places in each chapter that seem inevitably to hold a place for human drama. A real story will have turning points, moments of doubt and moments of truth, and ultimately, moments of decision. These points are different at different points on this journey. They are points that test commitment, challenge values. The further one gets on the journey, the harder it is to turn back. If your immediate need is not met in your early stages of involvement, the sermons are unstimulating, the music is folk, the kids don't like the snacks, no one speaks to you in coffee hour, turning back is easy. If you offer to help or your attempts to engage are not received, you may simply fall away. But as your persistence pays off and your connections begin to grow, so do expectations, as does the potential for disappointment and conflict. As in all committed relationships, honeymoons inevitably end. And the further in we get, the more invested we become in finding ways to address our disappointments. Turning away often comes early in the story because we don't know who to call or we lack the will to persist. Turning away later more often comes from the tides of unwanted change and feeling left behind or unreceived. Becoming a long-haul person will not happen for everyone. It is certainly not a requirement of engagement or membership or even an expectation. Becoming a long-haul person involves persistence and commitment and choosing again and again to remain and sustain commitment, to live for better and for worse in covenant with these people, to create a community of memory and hope grounded in shared ministry, to nurture every human spirit wherever you are in this story and on this journey. In the next few weeks, the interim task will be to invite those of you in the early part of your journey, those who have joined UCE in the past 4 years or so, to share your experience of engagement in an effort to learn what can happen to encourage members early in their stories. What institutional or personal barriers may be fueling disappointment? In what ways have you felt encouraged and supported? How can members best minister to each other in different points in their stories so that a greater variety of needs gets met? Long haul is not the same as life sentence. How do we create places of rest for long haulers and new opportunities for you who are earlier on in your journeys? Though we know that connections are made slowly, Piercy's poem also reminds us, for every gardener knows, that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. You, as a congregation, are all facing another big transition. The return in the next months, several months, to some form of in-person church. This is yet another time for negotiation of hopes and expectations, of needs and desires, of changing capacities and the need for different resources. Wherever you are in your story, you are part of something, a shared ministry that is dynamic and growing through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words by Brian Keeley. The chalice is extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and the hearts and souls of each one of us. Let us carry the flame with us and share it with those we know, with those we love, and most especially with those we have yet to meet.
We close with these words by David Blanchard. Do more than simply keep the promise, making your vow. Do something more. Keep promising. As time passes, keep promising new things, deeper things, vaster things, yet unimagined things. Promises that will be needed to fill the expanses of time and love. Keep promising. Go in peace.